Listen up, all fight fans and fitness junkies. You've been listening to me talk about Jocko Fuel for a while now, and if you've been waiting, the wait is over. This August, you can score a massive 30% off on all of Jocko Fuel's top-tier supplements. That's right, 30% off. Jocko Fuel is loaded with all of the good stuff and none of the bad. We're talking no added sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and absolutely no gray area or banned substances. Just pure, clean fuel to power your performances. And guys, I really want you to try some of my favorites like Jocko Go and Jocko Hydrate. This deal is only going to be available for the month of August. So use code Chael30 or go to JockoFuel.com. Don't wait. Fuel up with Jocko Fuel and crush your goals. Guys, click on the link below to make it happen. Muhammad Mokaev. Guys, I forgive him. Do you? Now, I have to tell you, I don't know what for. I don't know. Like, this thing got played very close to the vest. And there was one comment made by Dana, and Dana was polite. He didn't call him out. He didn't embarrass him. He gave an extremely broad stroke that he's difficult to deal with for the matchmakers. There was a difficulty or a resistance or a lack of enjoyment by the matchmakers. And I use all those words because what do they mean? Like, it didn't sound like it was something terrible. It didn't sound as though he had threatened them. When I watch his fight and I just look at his career, he stayed as active as anybody else, so I don't think he was turning fights down. You must understand, guys, before I go any further, I don't know. But that's one of the things that surprised me. I don't know. You can't keep something like this secret. I mean, you just can't. And I don't think that Muhammad would. I believe that he would come out and be very candid. I believe that he would say, here's what I did. Now, here's what I will not do in the future. I just feel like he would say something like that. He's been pretty open. He has shared things with us that he was so open. I know that I was starting to think there's an interpretation issue. There's the language barrier. He must not have said that, but he said something close and the interpreter got it wrong because he was so open. He was coming out before this fight and saying, this is where I want to be. This is the last fight on my deal. They have not offered me a contract. In fact, that was the part exclusively. I remember I was sitting with Brett Okamoto and Laura Sanko, and we all discussed it real fast. Like, hey, wait a minute. Okay, he just said he wasn't offered a contract. Misinterpretation, right? He means that he hasn't accepted the contract. And we all agreed, even though it's not what we were told, it's not what we heard, we all agreed that that's what it really meant. And I'm just sharing with you, this is how open he was, because no, it's not what he meant. He meant what he said. He has not been offered a contract. The last fight on his deal is here. He's taken on Cape. And there was not a discussion of another contract. So at some point, Muhammad said, I think they don't like my style. I think they don't like that I take people down. And that got ran with. The media took that as, okay, the matchmakers are telling him, not to take people down. And that was inaccurate. The matchmakers did the same thing that Brett and Laura and I did, which is, even though we heard it one way, we decided it must be another, because that did not happen. And if you listen to Muhammad, he was guessing when he said it. He said what I think, right? I know excitement is at a premium over here. And perhaps that's what I'm not doing. And perhaps I'm not as excited because I'm taking people down. Like, he was trying to break it down. He was trying to be open. Then he gets in that thing at the hotel with Kate. And see, the whole situation has been blamed on the hotel photograph sucker punch situation, of which, right, and I don't like that happened to Cape. Cape is a victim here, and I'm not trying to dismiss it. That would be for Cape to forgive or not to. I'm just speaking that Muhammad owned it. He said that's exactly what he did. Right? They say in life that there's three stories. Your version, their version, and then the truth. Well, Muhammad told it exactly like Kate told it. Muhammad told it exactly like Coach Nissick, who was there, told it. I asked him to come over for a photo. He did. When he got close enough, I hit him. And before we hang our hat on that is the issue, and that's a bad thing to do, but before we hang our hat on that being the issue, guys, that was a day before weigh-ins. That was 2 days prior to the fight. I knew about Muhammad not having a contract extension 2 weeks before. So did you. We saw the card change. We saw this undefeated young prospect get pulled off the main card. I mean, we're all aware of this, and that is prior to the hotel, which I offer just to let you know. I think it was something a lot more simplistic than that. When you deal with the matchmakers, that is, generally speaking, over the phone. That's a phone call. That's a text message. I think Muhammad has good enough English that perhaps he was doing that directly. But again, if you wanted typical speaking, he would have his manager speak for him. So I'm not certain. You get forgiven a lot. Like if you blew your top, but you did it to your manager in private, and your manager then goes and talks to the matchmakers, that doesn't stick to you. Something here stuck to him. And when you're turning fights down, per the contract, right? Everybody gets 3 fights a year. You guys have heard that. Well, just go a little further. If you offer the fight and they say no, that counts for you. That counts as one. So when guys are saying no, which I just haven't heard of him saying no, and I don't know who within the division that I would sincerely believe that he would say no to, that an undefeated 23-year-old is trying to come up. I don't know that I would make that guess. This whole thing's a guess by me. I don't know that I would guess in that direction. But also, when you say no, that one came off the board. Now you're fighting twice this year. You get a phone call in another 5 months. You say no to that one, great. You're fighting once this year. It's one of those things. Like we don't go on a mad dash to appease the guy that says he doesn't want to show up for work. It's quite the opposite. You don't want to go for work, great. All I had to hear, let me call somebody who does. But as I look at his schedule and resume, I didn't see gaps like that. So I don't know what he would have done. I could only imagine. But I know the matchmakers, and they're very nice men. It'd be really hard to get upset with them. Right? Guy calls you wanting to get you work in the industry you have chosen to work in. Like, it'd be really hard. And they've seen everything. They put up with everything. Guys saying no, guys having reason, guys called squatting on your spot. Get the number 6 guy in the world. He's just going to hold on to that. He's not going to go out and risk it, not going to fight anybody. It's one of these situations. They've dealt with all of these things. Match, they've got lined up. They get a phone call. Guy hurt his shoulder. Guy can't show up. Got to find somebody else. I'm sharing for you. I don't know what he could have done realistically, because he's got to do 2 things. He's got to upset the matchmakers, who are really nice guys. Like, it's really hard for somebody to get upset with them. I don't know if I've ever heard a story where somebody was upset with them. So you gotta upset them and be able to keep it quiet. And in our industry, that is just wildly difficult to do. So when I tell you I want to forgive him, and I do, I guess I should also offer, I don't quite know what we're forgiving him for, but I have guesses, and he seems calm. He seems like a guy that really wants his job. In fact, stronger on the position of I want to be here, please reconsider, than I believe I've ever seen. And that has to mean something. When a guy has that kind of passion, that kind of energy, and he's telling you he's sorry, and he's showing it, and he's going out to the public, and he's owning everything that he did, whether he's got a boring style, or he had the hotel situation, I feel like that's a guy that you would show grace to. And I don't know him. I've just watched him in the media. And it's something that he really wants. Really, I sincerely believe that now that he's aware of whatever those actions were, I do believe that he will not take those action again. So I'm giving a shout out to him. We'll see. But I hope that they get it worked out. I hope he does get that contract with the UFC.